Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Change does not roll in on the wheels of inevitability, but comes through continuous struggle, and so we must straighten our backs and work for our freedom. A man can't ride you unless your back is bent." This is the Producers Lounge podcast. I'm your host, Richard Tucci, and on this week's episode, we have producer and host of Black Hollywood Live, Derrial Christon. A native of Dayton, Ohio, Derrial Christon knew at an early age that working in the entertainment industry was in his future. Once in New York, Christon began working as the event marketing manager and celebrity wrangler at popular magazines Spin and Vibe. He quickly found himself working with celebrities such as Russell Simmons, Green Day, Jay-Z, P. Diddy, Quincy Jones, Tommy Hilfiger, Madonna, Beyonce, Justin Timberlake, and Janet Jackson. He's currently the host and one of the producers behind Black Hollywood Live, which is an online network focusing on African Americans in Hollywood and the greater entertainment industry. You can check them out on blackhollywoodlive.com and follow Derrial on Twitter at Derrial Christon. Here now is my interview with Derrial Christon. Oh yeah, it's great. The building was built in the 70s, and it's just really nice. Have a seat.
It's cool. It's like I'm so used to interviewing on the podcast. It's funny to be interviewed for a podcast.
What would you like to drink? I got water, Coke, Diet Coke, and sparkling pomegranate.
Let's go with sparkling pomegranate. Sounds interesting.
Done and done. That's cool though. Who were you hitting out this morning?
This morning we had Aisha Tyler from The Talk.
Oh, I love her.
And there's this new Disney artist. Her name is China Williams, and she's in a singing group with her sisters. They're 12. Nice. So yeah, we had them this morning, and then yesterday literally it was all day interviews at the luncheon. And then this week we have a couple people coming in the studio as well. So it's been good times though.
Yeah, so cheers.
Cheers to that alone. Just that's pretty exciting. So you do everything in here?
Pretty much everything in here.
Okay.
One-man band. And then now you're on iTunes and YouTube.
We're on iTunes and YouTube and Vimeo.
Vimeo. Very nice.
Yeah.
Very cool, man.
So we're spread across the board. So our heavy hits are, it just depends. Currently right now we have 10 shows for Black Hollywood Live, and we're in the next probably 2 weeks we're going to have 20 shows.
Wow.
So maybe 24 actually. So we're adding 10 new shows to the roster that are in development right now. So it's that's also going on in the middle of all this too. So it's quite exciting times, I should say.
Nice. Very cool.
But we're on iTunes. In fact, we're going to do something this week for Black History Month with iTunes, showcase some of our shows. So
nice.
Yeah. So iTunes is a great place to be.
Okay, cool. So where are you from originally?
Ohio. I'm a Midwest guy.
Nice.
Yeah. What about yourself?
I'm from Connecticut, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So came out here when I was around for 18 for film school, actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So when did you first get interested in entertainment?
Wow. Let's see. As if you have my mom tell you, she's always said I've always wanted to be in entertainment. But when I was a kid, I've always been into television, just TV shows. I used to write for our high school newspaper. I went to college at Ohio State. I hosted a radio show called Burning the Midnight Oil.
Oh, wow.
I wrote for our school paper, so I was interviewing the athletes, the president of the university.
Okay.
And I was, it was kind of weird because it's I always wanted to get into entertainment, but being in Ohio, I didn't really know how. It's most of the people who I went to high school with are they go on to be working in the business world or your more traditional things, Right. Very rare did I hear someone say, hey, I want to go to New York and work at a magazine or something. So I was in college and I started dating a girl at the time, actually, who was working at Vibe magazine in New York.
Oh, wow.
And so I was a marketing major, and I was interning with IBM for my.
And this was all in Ohio State.
Ohio State. I was doing the radio show and all that, those type of things. I kind of gotten involved in theater too. I've always been kind of at the acting realm of things. In high school, I did productions and that kind of thing.
Nice.
So I just didn't know what angle I wanted to go. So in college, I was hosting a radio show. The girl I was dating started working at Vibe, and then her internship ended. And she's like, hey, you would be great there. You should try and get an internship there. And I was like, how do you how do you do that? And she's like, well, I know the person who does human resources, you know, give me your resume, and I put in your resume. So she put my resume in, and they were like, you know, we don't, we're not looking right now, but we'll keep you in our pool. And ended up getting a call like that next summer.
Nice.
And they were like, you need to come to New York like tomorrow. Where do you live? I'm like, Ohio, but it's no problem. I had a red Honda Civic. I literally got in my car, drove by myself for, you know, 10 hours to New York. My roommate, ironically, from Ohio State was from Brooklyn, so I stayed with his family in Brooklyn. And when I got to like 215 Lexington Avenue between 33rd and 34th, and I was like, this is where I want to be. Like, I was like, this is the energy of the city alone. I was just like, this is my environment. I went up to Vibe, I interviewed, they were like, we love you, we want to hire you, you can start interning whenever. So I packed my crap, told mom I had actually had an internship at IBM. I forgot what excuse I made up, but my mom was like, you're doing what? Like you're going to New York to work at what? You have a job at IBM, like this is stable. What? Entertainment's not stable. Like it's like she's like, entertainment's not stable, what are you doing? I'm like, Mom, trust me, I know you're not happy with this, I'm not gonna kill my career, let me just do this. And I did it, and I've never looked back. I ended up interning there for 2 summers. They hired me full time after that. I ended up working in marketing and events. And
what kind of stuff did you do in the intern level on marketing and events?
I was really, really blessed and lucky. The person who I worked for was the head of special events and marketing. So she literally was the type of person who wanted you to learn hands-on. She didn't want to baby you. So my first day, she was like, well, we're doing a music award show called the Vibe Music Awards, and I need you to help me with wrangling talent. Like, she's like, start calling labels, start calling, you know, agents, start, you know, and she's like, and I'm like, well, what do I have a guide to like show me how to do it? She's like, figure it out.
Nice. That's the best way to do it.
And I figured it out.
Trial by fire.
Trial by fire. She's like, I'll guide you, but here's a book on like agents. Who do you like? Who would you like to see at the award show to perform? Start calling those agents and tell them. And she's like, because you can use our name because we have Vibe. And we had also partnered with Spin Magazine. So we were brother-sister magazines. Oh. Okay. So she was like, so I was working for both. So she literally was like, you know, use your name. That's going to get you in the door. And then explain who we are and what we're doing, and that you're trying to book talent, and go from there. So literally, like, my first assignment was that, and from there it's like, where do you go? Like, my life was, I feel like it was a whirlwind. I was going to the coolest parties, and I was like a junior in college, you know, but these are internships, you know, I'm still an intern. And then it would suck because like after the internship was over for the summer, I'd have to go back to Ohio and like like, all right, so I'm at a union party, yay, where can I see P. Diddy? You know, like, this is all right. I was like, this is a humbling experience. I need to humble myself very much here, you know. But no, it was all that to say, by her giving me that opportunity and like kind of having me do it trial by error, I've learned so much. I ended up working at Vibe for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 7 years actually.
Now talk about the jump. You were in the intern level for how long?
I was at the intern level for 2 years.
2 years.
So 2 summers back to back. And then when I graduated, I literally moved to New York full time. They said, hey, we have an offer for you. It's still kind of in the works, but you know, we're pretty sure it's going to happen. Okay. So I literally said no to another job and just went on.
Was it IBM again?
It was. Yeah. And I moved and just went on faith. And like, I was there for maybe a couple of days, and then before they fully offered me the job, and then they offered me the job. Nice. And I never regretted it. And I ended up starting off in the consumer marketing department, and then moved my way back into like the special events marketing realm, and how I kind of got into even the side of where I'm at now with hosting is we were having an event for our red carpet, and they put me on the correspondent who was supposed to go on the red carpet didn't show up, so they had me do it, and the first person I interviewed was like Mariah Carey and Madonna and Beyonce. You know, like it was like, you know, my story. I always say my story is like unbelievable.
Okay, that's
thrust it to the fire.
Quick jump, like it's 2 summers as an intern, working in consumer marketing.
Working in consumer marketing. So I was handling. Oh, sorry.
So I'm just curious, how long were you in consumer marketing before you were able to get back into events where you wanted to be?
It probably took like 2 years.
Okay.
It was because the positions weren't open for the events portion at the time. So basically, what they were trying to do is figure out a position for me where I could use the skills that I had from my internship and with my degree. And marketing was close enough because even though it wasn't in events, I was like the event support still in marketing.
Okay.
So I was working with the events team. I was kind of the liaison between the departments.
Wearing many hats and juggling a lot of
juggling a lot. So I was working with the CEO, but I was also working with like the event director.
Got it.
But I was also working with the sales director to make sure that when he would sell to like Nike, and I would have to be in charge of putting together the added value event for Nike with the marketing team and the special events team. So it's kind of like all, in a weird way, all kind of worked itself in the same circle at the same time. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. How long were you, that's amazing. It sounds like you're a kid in a candy store in that environment.
I mean, it was, I still to this day, Quincy Jones was the head of Vibe at the time. So he would come into the office, and it was like God had like arisen and walked into the office, because everyone was like, oh. When he walked in, it was like, he's the man. It was like, I just want to touch Quincy Jones. And he was so cool. Like, he just was so cool, so supportive. He was one of those guys that he like remembers your name even though you're an intern. Like, he would be like, hey, Derrial, you know, like, you're like, whoa, hey, you know who I am? Like, excuse me, you know? But yeah, it was like a kid in a candy store, because first of all, I was just so happy to be there, and because I wanted to be there. And it was such a environment where which most of the staff was really young, so they were really willing to kind of let you learn hands-on, and I just got so much experience. I mean, I can't pay for the experience that I got just because of the fact, like, just the people I was in rooms with. They would take me to meetings with Tommy Hilfiger, or they would take me to meetings with the head of Nike. And since with my internship, I had to work a lot initially with the CEO, the president at the time, who was Keith Klinkzios, who's now the head of Revolt with Diddy, Diddy's new music channel. He really took me under his wing as well. I think he kind of saw himself a little bit of me. He was kind of like the same kind of kid. Like, I was the intern who showed up the first day where everybody else is in jeans and t-shirts, and I had slacks and like a tie and like a dress jacket. And they were like, yeah, you know, we really like the effort. We love it, but you might want to change up your wardrobe a little bit to fit the environment, you know. But the CEO was like, you know what? I actually like that you did that, because you didn't come in here just in jeans and a t-shirt and expecting like, hey, yeah, this is what it is. Like, you came and were dressed up and were ready to like go full-fledged with the fire.
Nice.
So, yes. Yes, so it was learning by trial and error, and as I was mentioning, it was a great experience. Still to this day, I've had some great times, but I cherish those moments that I had a lot during that time period, just because it was the height of the magazine. It was just so many highlights and just exciting things going on, and I just felt like I was a part of history with that.
What was the most valuable lesson you learned from that time?
The most valuable lesson I learned is to, you know, you take things seriously, but also to stay humble, because I think because I was so young and there was a lot of people who I worked around who had egos, I realized, like, you know, I was blessed. I had a lot of people who were really cool who I worked with who protected me, but then there were also people who were kind of jerks, you know, and who had a lot of power at a young age. And I think I always wanted to be different from that. I said, you know, whenever I obtain the amount of success that I would like to have, I'm always going to be humble and just like keep it centered, because you could lose it at any moment. And I think I saw the wave of people who were really successful, and then, like, you know, something happened, like the sales for the record label weren't the same the following year, and they lost their job or whatever. But the year before, they were making 6 figures, you know. So right. I just always wanted to stay humble and just count my blessings and just keep focused. But like, I think that was the biggest lesson, is to always stay humble, and to no matter what you're blessed with, to stay humble, because you never know when it can be taken away, and enjoy the moment. And I'm still learning that because sometimes I tend to get a little serious, but I'm like, let me just take a moment and enjoy the moment because I've had unbelievable experiences.
So how long were you at Vibe for then?
I was at Vibe with the internship 7 years.
Okay.
So, and it was Vibe Spin, so I worked on both.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
What brought on leaving?
What brought on leaving is, so my CEO, who was the CEO of Vibe, ended up leaving to start his own media company called Vanguard Media. And it was with that, he created new magazines. There was a magazine called, these magazines were focused more on the African American side of things. So it was a magazine called Heart and Soul, it was a magazine called Honey, and it was a magazine called Savoy. Okay. And they were all entertainment based. So when he left Vibe, he brought me with him to go to the new magazines.
Nice.
So it was a nice transition, and it was a very similar environment to me working at Vibe because he did take several of the staff members who I work with, including my boss. So it was like one big continuous happy family. So that was my choice of leaving Vibe because at the time it was interesting because he left. He took like 5 of the staff members who I worked closely with at Vibe, and then there was a bunch of new staff people at Vibe, and I'd kind of taken a liking to them as well. So it was one of those weird moments where I was like, do I stay? Do I go? And I just
like mom or dad?
Yeah, I'm like mom or dad? Mom or dad? Which one? And I decided to go with dad. So, but I don't regret it because it was great experiences working with Vanguard Media as well. And I was able to kind of add on to more of my opportunities with working in media, learning media in that realm on even a more higher level.
Nice.
So, yes.
Very cool, man. Very cool. Now, were you still, as you moved over to Vanguard Media, were you still doing like interviewing and marketing? Did you want to take part in that world, or?
Yeah, I was still interviewing. They would have me go out, like if there was new artists that they had on the cover or a feature story in the magazine, they would have me go out and like interview them. So I was still like building building the experience. I wasn't sure still at that time like how I wanted to angle that, like because I had come from the business world. So I wasn't sure like, okay, is this something that I want to be more in front of the camera full time, or is this something that I just kind of do with the magazine on kind of like a side gig type of thing. But it kind of all unfolded for the opportunity for me to move in front of the camera completely. So to answer that question, yes. So it was really that experience, I think, that shaped kind of my decision to move forward with going in front of the camera.
Was there a specific moment where you had to make the decision you had to do left or right?
No, I actually at that time they were really cool with me doing both.
Okay.
I think they were just kind of like, as long as you get your work done, what you do outside of like when we need you to do a red carpet or to cover something, outside of that, if you want to do it on the side, that's your business as long as you get done what we need to get done for your job. Okay. And for me, because of the fact that I wasn't sure what angle I wanted to do, I was able to balance both pretty well. So it seemed to be an easy kind of balance for me at the time.
Gotcha. Did you now? Kind of that world of professional hosting is a very interesting world because, there are some people who come into it from stand-up comedy and there are some people who come into it from acting, but you came into it from a world of kind of reporting and from the corporate world. Yeah. So how did you build your reel and build your career as a professional host in that world? Did you have to do your own producing at that point as well as segments? Or?
Yeah, well, it's interesting how it all kind of unfolded, but I moved to LA. When I went to Vanguard, when I left Vibe and moved to Vanguard, they had me come out to the LA office.
Gotcha.
And one of the reasons for
around what year was this? Like?
This was around 2007.
Gotcha. Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they had me move. They had me move here for that position, and one of the things as well was that my boss knew that I wanted to kind of take my career in that direction. So he said, listen, you need to be in LA. There's an opportunity for you to continue the marketing portion of your job in LA. Why don't you move there, test it out, see if you like it, and kind of go from there. And I'm like, great. the first couple years here, I actually didn't really do a lot of hosting initially because I was so focused with my job. So I didn't really, I just wasn't sure, like I just was so focused with my career on the business side. And then you move to LA and it's like, I call it it's Hollyweird, I love Hollyweird. So there was a point where I was like, oh, do I want to be an actor? I was like, oh, this is easier. I've been in front of the camera. Maybe I want to do some acting. So I started doing some commercials.
Okay.
And hosting I kind of put on the back burner for a couple years. And I was kind of doing commercials, and then I was still working, with Vanguard Media. And then, I don't know, I just, like maybe 3 years ago, I said, you know what, I want to get back into hosting. I love talking to people. I love interviewing people. With my job, I was still doing a lot of that. So I said, you know what? I just want to go and do this full time. I just want to go for it. And I ended up taking a class. I was recommended to take a class by a woman here named Marky Costello. She's like the queen of media. She actually has a reality show right now on E called The Queen of All Media, or Queen of Media, or the Drama Queen. That's what it's called.
Oh, okay.
The Drama Queen.
Gotcha.
So I took her course because she's like the person who helped Ryan Seacrest and Jason Kennedy, and they've all had really successful careers. So I'm like, hey, I want to be in the realm of someone like her, and I already have experience. So I took her course, and I fell in love with it again, and just started putting, like, from there, I kind of, used the lessons she taught in the course, and I started putting together my reel a little bit more, and focusing in on, like, doing outside shots, going out to Santa Monica and interviewing people on subjects, or going to local,
not as part of an assignment, just to
build a reel. And for me, because of my experience of working in entertainment, I actually had a lot of contacts. So I was always getting invited to different events. So I was just like, hey, let me just take my stuff and film and go there, So that's kind of how it started with building the reel. And then from that course, I met several people who there was this thing called AfterBuzz that everyone was talking about.
Okay.
I'm like, AfterBuzz, like, what, why there's so many hosts who are working at AfterBuzz, like, how do you get involved with this? And they're like, well, have you ever heard of Maria Menounos? They said to me, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, she's like who I would like my career to be like, And they said, well, she has a network called AfterBuzz, where it's a television recap show. She's, always looking for new hosts who love, talking about television. And I'm like, well, I'm your guy because I love television and probably have watched too much of it. And I need to get involved with this. I met with the producers there. It's a guy by the name of Phil Zvitek, who is the executive producer, and also Kevin Undergaro, who's Maria's manager, boyfriend, and the founder of AfterBuzz. Met with them. I don't know, it's just like kind of like love at first sight, I say. It's like I met them, fell in love with those two guys. They were so great, and just they gave me the opportunity to come on board with AfterBuzz. I was just in awe of just everything that they had done. And from there, went to AfterBuzz. I started working on a couple shows. The Walking Dead was my podcast, and also Revolution, that's on NBC. And a reality show, which is no longer on air on ABC, but they gave me the opportunity to really kind of build my podcast craft, because a lot of the sessions there are mostly podcasts, but then they would allow you to go out on the red carpets under AfterBuzz, so that I started doing that as well.
Nice.
So with that, I built a pretty decent reel. And from there, how I kind of got to where I am today with Black Hollywood Live is that Maria wanted to start a network that focused on African American talent, because if you look on Extra or E or Entertainment Tonight or OMG Insider, if you're not Will Smith or Halle Berry or Kerry Washington, you're not really getting a lot of coverage as an African-American artist unless you're somebody who's like pretty much a household name. Yeah. And there's plenty of people who've worked in industry for years who are recognizable, who are working actors and producers and directors who just don't get the opportunity to get the coverage like some of these more popular people. And Maria wanted to create an outlet for those popular people still, but also create an outlet for the people who are working in the industry who don't get the limelight, but we want to know their stories. We want to know the person who wrote Fruitvale Station and that's nominated for, an Oscar and all these awards, and the producer and the writer and the actors of that may not really get a lot of coverage. It might just not be Michael B. Jordan who's the lead. It's several other actors who are a part of the movie who don't get the coverage, or the producer who doesn't get the coverage. So she wanted to create an outlet that would show them and feature them. And so I went, actually, they had a career advice day.
This is part of
AfterBuzz.
Gotcha.
They had a career advice day for new host. So I went to talk to Kevin, who was giving the seminar on the career advice, and I said, listen, this is where I kind of want to be at. My dreams, I always joked and said, there's Kevin Frazier, who is on OMG Insider. He was formerly on Entertainment Tonight. He's like kind of the first major black guy correspondent in the entertainment news realm. And I said, you know what? My motto, even like my slogan, was, I want to be the second famous black guy correspondent like Kevin Frazier. So that was like my motto, like my thing. So I went to Kevin. I said, he's like, well, where do you want your career? Where do you see your career going? I'm like, well, I want to be the second black guy correspondent, like I just said. And he's like, I love that. He started to kind of have the same reaction you did. He chuckled about it. He's like, you have what it takes. You just have to, it's just about building the craft. Because now we're in a world of like social media. It's not just about interviewing. It's building your social media page, how many likes you have, how many tweets you send out a day, your Instagrams,
There's a lot of basically empowerment for individuals there in the social media realm, but at the same time, it's a lot more work in terms of constantly being on point and managing your image. Whereas back in the day, you had a team of people to manage your image for you.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing that I learned is that Kevin even said, he's like, the days of the traditional host are gone. The days of the Mary Harts where you're just statuesque and beautiful and you just read the teleprompter are over. Now host, because of social media, because of YouTube, there's YouTube stars now who are like taking acting and hosting gigs because they're getting millions of hits just by producing their own YouTube shows in their living room. So the days of those high paid hosts who were just standing reading a teleprompter were over, or are starting to be over. So Kevin was like, you need to prepare yourself for that realm of things. You need to be able to read a teleprompter, yes, but you need to self-produce. You need to be able to write a press release. You need to be able to, write your own questions for interviews. The days of people writing your questions are over. You have to be able to write your own things. So he groomed me for all of that. He's still grooming me for all of that. And it's been a tremendous amount of information, but it's also been a huge learning curve for me because of the fact that it's helped me so much with my hosting. So from that, I went to the career seminar, and Kevin was talking to me about these things, like how to grow your career. And he said, hey, I have this thing called, it was called like Black Hollywood. It was like Black Hollywood. It was a different name. He said, I wanted to really give this a go, but I haven't had the right person to like push it. And so he said to me, would you be interested in helping me build this? You be the lead host and you come on board and help me build this network, and you would be a partner in this network with me and Maria. And I'm like, yeah. And I thought, like, do I need to really think about that? This opportunity to build my brand, build myself, build a network, and just the response that we've gotten. I mean, we launched last March. We started with 2 shows. By December of this last year, we were at 10 shows. Now, like I was mentioning at the beginning, we're going to go to like over 20 shows in the next couple of months. We just partnered with Nick Cannon for a show that we're doing between his network and our network, and he has a new set of tablets that he's producing called Incredible Tablets, and
like a rival to the iPad.
Correct.
Okay.
And so he wants us to help him launch those tablets, and I mean, it's like a huge deal for us to be in this realm of just the opportunities right now for Black Hollywood Live. So I have just kind of taken it and run with it and just tried to get as much exposure for the brand as possible.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So as you're taking on those responsibilities for Black Hollywood Live, then what does your average day look like?
It's crazy. I mean, especially right now with award seasons. I mean, your award season. Literally since just January when I got back, I've been back to back with award shows. I mean, I came back doing the Golden Globes. My first interview that night was with Jared Leto. And after he just won his Golden Globe for Dallas Buyers Club, so it's like that set the tone for my year. You know, I mean, where do you go from there? And then we've done from the NBC winner upfronts to yesterday we were at the NAACP Image Awards nominees luncheon. So we have. My day is pretty crazy right now because it's just literally if I'm not, going to an event right now or doing a press release or uploading footage or, taping a show because I also film tape 3 shows for our network right now. So it's like
a week or a day?
A week.
Oh, wow.
A week. But it's the prep for it because one is called Portraits, which is an in-depth interview with celebrities. So, I mean, we've had from Mel B from the Spice Girls all the way to Bill Duke, legendary actor Bill Duke. And then we have one that I do called This Week, which is like a roundtable discussion on current events for each week. So I have to stay really afloat and up, on top of what's going on in the world. So that's kind of like the View for us, And then I'm going to be doing one that just started for Nick Cannon's network called Breaking into Hollywood.
Nice.
So it's keeping me pretty busy because now I have, not just host under my resume. I have producer, writer, connoisseur. I guess at this moment.
Well, very cool, man. Let me ask you something. As far as like with Black Hollywood Live, when you're coming at it from a talent perspective, what do you think talent should look for in an ideal producing partner?
What do I think the talent should look for in an ideal producing partner?
Knowing now, having been on both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah. That's a great question. I think that let me ask you this. When you say that, do you mean like as far as like partnering with partnering with like a network or
yeah, not going in for an audition necessarily, but just like, okay, what do you bring to the table and how can I complement it with what I bring to the table?
Well, I think now, as we were I was kind of saying before, with social media being such the head of how things are fed out to the world now, I think as a talent, you can't just be a talent anymore. You have to be able to be self-efficient and really do a variety of things. Unless you're just such a dynamic talent that you're like one of a kind. But even then, I mean, we've seen the waves in this industry. Actors, actresses, hosts, where you have your peak moment and then, it comes in waves sometimes. And it's hard to stay afloat of that wave that you've had. So I say when you're looking to partner with someone or looking for a network to partner with, you want to make sure that you both have an equal value in what the end goal is. I think that, for Black Hollywood Live, Maria had the goal and Kevin had the goal to create a network that featured these actors and actresses and producers that you don't get the shine for. Me as a talent coming in and with a business sense, that was something that I wanted to be a part of. That was something that I felt it was a niche that wasn't developed, and I felt like I could complement them because of the fact that Maria obviously has the name. I mean, she's on Extras, she's been on Dancing with the Stars, she's a producer of movies. Kevin comes from a long history. He discovered Jenny McCarthy. I mean, he discovered Carmen Electra. He has an eye for talent, and then I feel like I have an eye for knowing what is cool in pop culture, and also coming from the talent aspect of things, I feel like I know, both sides of things. Like I know what to look for in a talent, but I also know what someone else may be looking for in talent. So I think it was a blossoming relationship from the beginning because I felt like we all kind of brought something different to the table. So I feel like when you're partnering with a network or production company, I think everybody just kind of has to bring a different angle to it. You want to have different perspectives on how to produce or write or select the talent. You want different. You don't want everyone to be the same. So I think that's key.
So Black Hollywood Live is at the forefront right now, and it's doing extremely well.
Yes.
What else do you hope to do in the both near future and the long-term future with your career?
This is the thing with Black Hollywood Live. We've had such a great response. I think because there was such a lack of this type of thing in the environment. What we pride ourselves with, that's we say it's different from other networks, is that we want to ask the smart questions. We want to know, Richard, you come into the studio. We want to know your life story. A lot of times people don't really get to get that one-on-one. I mean, the days of Barbara Walters doing one-on-one interviews are a little bit less. They're seldom now. They're not around as much. I mean, you have Oprah who does her one-on-ones, but it's just not as many. Maybe Ryan Seacrest periodically, but we really wanted to feature those African Americans in that light. So I feel like with this network, we're just beginning to see. I mean, we're just touching on the surface of how great this network is going to be. I mean, our goal is to eventually, it's online now, but eventually to have the opportunity to build it like a BET, where it becomes its own machine on national television. Right now, there's so many opportunities for online networks, just online period opportunities for people to produce shows. We felt like that was the right space to kind of let it build its legs there, and we have the philosophy of, crawl and then we walk, so we're in a crawling stage still. But I think for the long term, what I like to do is just really take the network and build it to something like what Byron Allen has done. Byron Allen he's one of my idols. I mean, he took, his show, which was a smaller show at the beginning, just interviewing celebrities, build it from a small little studio to a massive studio to now he has a comedy hour that comes on CBS at night. So where he, interviews and talks to different comics. So I think the realm of where we're at with our network is that it's really going to grow in such a fast-paced, great place. I mean, if I was telling this story to some of our hosts the other day, a year ago, last March, literally I was calling publicists to get their talent on the show. And people were like, Black Hollywood, who? Like, who are you? Like, Maria Menounos, we know. Like, how is she associated with this? Like, what's going on? To now, literally every day when I go in my inbox, it is publicists saying, we want our talent to come on your show. When I went to the NAACP Awards yesterday, it was literally people saying to me, oh my God, we love Black Hollywood Live. We were looking for you on the carpet. Like, it feels good when you have the talent coming to you saying, we like what you're doing. Bill Duke told me yesterday, he was like, it was one of the smartest interviews I've ever had I've ever been a part of. And it was like, oh my God, you're Bill Duke, I can't believe you're saying this, So saying all that to say, I plan on really taking Black Hollywood Live to another level, and just I think there's such a niche for it, and I think there's so many opportunities for it. I want to take it where it's, we're doing right now. We're just basically themed shows, but I want to take it to scripted shows. I mean, we're about to add a concert experience to it. I mean, it's so many things that we can do with it. It's just, like I said, we're just touching the surface now, that I want to really take the next couple years and really develop it. So that's going to be my primary focus, as well as bringing in the best talent, bringing in, producing the best shows that viewers will really love to watch and be entertained by. And what's different for us too is I think that our shows are so customized. Like we have a show right now that is for to interview legendary athletes called Athletes. We have a show called Stand Up Sit Down, which is up and coming comedy stars. We have a show called Fashion 401, which is catering to the fashion industry and models and how to make it, and the hot outfits that the actors and celebrities are wearing. We have one called Justice is Served, which has actually just been on Huffington Post, featured 3 times, because it's between 2 of our lawyers who have a weekly commentary on legal issues that are hitting the mainstream in the headlines. Like, we featured Michael Jackson's lawyer when he was in the AEG trial, and he gave his 2 cents on what was going on, the behind the scenes, and that was featured on Huffington Post. So I feel like we are just such at the beginning. I just want to focus on building it and taking the network to the next level.
Which is a very smart strategy, because you're seeing now a lot of podcasting networks, whether it's Nerdist or Maximum Fun or what have you. And a lot of them I've seen, they kind of have somewhat of a scattershot approach, but you're actually intentionally hitting all of the major verticals.
Yes.
So, which is a very smart approach. Can we talk a little about You mentioned you're in the crawling stage
Yeah.
right now. What kind of studio are you guys shooting out of and recording out of?
We actually shoot out of a house.
Okay.
And
Which is not uncommon.
it's funny. I didn't know that until I started working with Maria and Kevin. Like when I first even met them at the studio, I'm like, wait, am I at the right address? It's like in the middle of a residential neighborhood. Did I write down the wrong address here? And then I walk in and it's like this unbelievable amount of equipment and it's studio and it's kind of the same reaction we get from celebrities when they come into the studio, because they're like, oh, cool, Maria's network, we're gonna come in, and then a lot of times we don't tell people that is at a house.
Right.
We like to see their reactions. And it's been so many times that I open up the door and it's like, we had one with an actor from a BT show called Husbands of Hollywood, Boris Kojo. He came to our studio and I opened the door and before he even asked me a question, I could just tell from his reaction. I was like, you think you're at the wrong place, don't you? He's like, yeah, I pulled up to this house and he was like, I was wondering if I was gonna, if I was at the right place. And then he walked in and he was like, oh my, like this studio is amazing. I mean, we have 4 different studios in there. 4 different rooms set up for studios. And there's so much just money and equipment that they put into making this place super dynamic. And literally every response that we get from our talent that comes into the studios are like, they're in awe. They're like, I would have never guessed that this was inside here. And they're just in awe of just the way we've set it up.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How did you deal with publicists when they weren't as familiar with your brand?
It's interesting. I think because of the fact that I came from the business side of things, and I'm one of those people like I won't take no for an answer, but I'm not. I call it like passive aggressive sometimes, because you have to fill the environment out to know when you need to be aggressive and when you need to kind of back. So when I was dealing with the publicists at the beginning who were like, I don't know who's Black Hollywood Live, like I don't know, it's like, okay, that's fine. Thank you for the opportunity, but I would also I would continuously send them information on who we had in the studio, who was coming up, because I wanted them to see, like, this is the real thing. You need to get on this train now, because this is gonna blow up, and I think that helped. So those people who were a little bit more skeptical because they're like, well, it's a new outlet, we don't know how that works, we're afraid to send our A-lister talent to a new outlet. I think that they by doing the things that I was doing, as far as, and all the hosts there, by sending out press releases, we're always in the media. Maria's been great with, like, talking about us, just featuring us, and slowly showing that she is the head, of this group. I think it just, her credibility in this industry is obviously spectacular. She's the one, is the best in this industry. So that also helps with our credibility. So I think that people take notice to those things. And, Kevin has this philosophy that he told me, I'm paraphrasing it a little bit, but he said, First, they look at you and they don't know who you are. Secondly, they laugh at you. Third, they start to take notice to you and they're like, wait, who is this person? Why do they keep popping up? And fourth, then they jump on your train. Then they're caught. They love who you are. So I kind of always remember that point. Like, stay consistent with it. I think when you put out a good product, and I think that we put out an excellent product, I think that even if you don't want to be a part of it, eventually you're gonna want to be a part of it, because of the fact that it's such a great product. Some of the biggest compliments we get from talent that come into the studio is they say, we've had several publicists say to us, wow, I didn't even know that about my talent, and I've been working with them for years, and you asked them questions that I didn't even know. And to me, that is a huge compliment. Like, I don't even know what to say about that, because it's like, that shows the hard workers coming in there, and that just builds the word of mouth. Like, I think that's why the transition of people not calling me back at the beginning to now, when I go, my phone is always ringing with publicists. Or I went to the event yesterday for the NAACPs, and people were saying to us, hey, we know about Black Hollywood Live, we want our talent on there. I think that when you put out a good product, people will come. And I think that's what we're doing, and we're doing it slow. We don't need to rush it. We don't need to do it so fast paced that it's like half-assed. We're putting it out in a slow environment or a slow pace, but the build has been so great by us doing it in that format.
And now you're taking on a lot of responsibility as a partner of this company.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta ask, that's a big workload.
Yeah.
How's it affecting your social life?
Right now, there's not much of one. Let me tell you. To be honest with you, when I am not working, I actually want to take a nap.
That's the entertainment industry.
That's the entertainment industry. You know, it's like my friends. They see my Facebook and they see my Instagrams and they see my Twitter. Like, oh man, you were at the Golden Globes. You were at the great event the other day. You were at this movie premiere. You're interviewing this person, that person. I'm like, yeah. And guess what? Like, I want to go to bed like at night afterwards. You know, a lot of times you get the opportunity where you can go to the after parties or whatever. And I'm like, I just want to go. I'm good. Like, but you know, you have to do it because you need to be out there. You need to keep, especially right now, we're still in the beginning stages. I need to be out there. I need to be getting the word out. I need to be meeting people. And I love that part. But yes, you definitely need some sleep too. And so right now I would probably say my sleep load is not that heavy.
Yeah. Because people don't realize you go to these amazing parties, and it's like if Black Hollywood Live set up an event at Cannes, it would not you would not be relaxing. You would not be on the beach. You would
not be at the beach, and that is one thing that people have to learn. And you know, I tell people, new hosts, this as well, because it's you know, you get to do the carpets, but a lot of times after that, you do the carpet and that's it. You know, you're like that. You did the carpet and now it's time to leave. And you know, I think some host expectations are like, oh, I'm doing the carpet. I mean, afterwards I get to party with the stars. And you know, I mean, sure, that happens to some people, but I think that's once you build a certain career. When you're beginning, you got to be humble and you gotta watch what feathers you ruffle. And you know, it's definitely you know, you have to be smart about those type of things and how you interact with the celebrities, because you also you want to come across as their peer, not as necessarily always as a fan per se, you know, because then it's like, oh, all right, you're a fan or you're a host, or you know, like, where's that fine line? But you know, yes, sleep is something that is definitely needed sometimes, but I like to take the philosophy of P. Diddy. He says you sleep when you're dead.
Yeah. What red carpets will you and Black Hollywood Live be at for the rest of the season?
Well, we'll be at the NAACP Awards, which is coming up in the next couple of weeks. We're going to be at the Pan-African Film Festival this week. We're going to be at the Oscars.
Nice.
So we also, let's see what else is coming up here. There's a couple. We're going to be at the About Last Night movie premiere on Tuesday night with starring Kevin Hart.
Nice.
So we have several of those movie premieres coming up. So we're pretty busy, and we have several New York correspondents that are doing Fashion Week. So we're going to be covering a lot of Fashion Week as well, which is knee deep in its events right now.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so it's a pretty exciting year. I can't wait to see how this year blossoms.
Okay, well, cool. Well, let me ask you then, final question. An unemployed actor is going on auditions and going to classes and workshops. An unemployed writer is working on spec scripts. What does an unemployed host do?
An unemployed host needs to be out there building the reel more, you know, because the thing is, you want to have as much on your reel that's current as possible. And we know the news and the media business is so fast paced. Like, you know, we can't talk about the Grammys anymore, and the Grammys were just a week ago, but that story's old. You know, it's all about what's fresh, hot, and new. So if you're not working consistently as a host, you need to be out there always updating your reel. I mean, nowadays things are so set up where it's easier to do, a stand-up job or a stand-up set for yourself to create for your hosting reel, because you can just take your iPhones nowadays. You can go out to wherever. You can go to an event. You could be at a restaurant, and you can be on a plane, and you can take your iPhone and do an interview because the quality is so great. One thing that we learned from Maria, she was I forgot exactly what she was covering, but she was covering an event, and she was on a plane, and she literally took her iPhone to do an interview on the plane, and extra ended up using the footage from her iPhone, you know, and that's almost unheard of, you know. So it's like, I think nowadays with technology, we can build our own career just off of our iPhones and things like that. So if you are an unemployed host, I would say, always continues to be building your reel. I mean, that's the minimum that you should do. B, I say, find out, take some classes. I mean, you always want to be as prepared as possible. By taking Marky Costello's class, I definitely feel like there was a ton of stuff I learned. And in fact, it put me in the environment of networking. You got to network. So you got to find out there's several different hosting networking kind of communities that you can be a part of that you can find out other hosts who may know about a job or may know about a recommendation of something that you can be a part of. So it's networking, it's continuously updating your reel, and it's also educating yourself just on the business as far as taking some classes and really, finding out, what's going on out there so you can always be on top of things. And I also think it's really important to always just, know what current events are, know what's going on, and find someone who you want to emulate or you want your career to be like. Like I say, Kevin Frazier, Ryan Seacrest are people that I would like my career to be like, because they're always working. They're those guys have had a long career, and they're Byron Allen, they're self-producers. You see Ryan Seacrest, he's not just a host, he's producing 30 shows. The guy, I don't even know. He's one person I actually wonder when he does sleep, because I feel like every time I turn on the TV, he's on. Or if I turn on the radio, he's on. And, those careers are hard to come by, but the guy works. So it's always about putting in your hard work to get to where you need to go. And I say stay focused too, because, I would have never imagined even a year ago that this is where I would be at, and I'm just at the crawling stage. I know I still need to enter the walking stage, and I know that my walking stage is going to be great because of just the way things are lining up now. And that's why I say, keep at it, stay focused, and it'll come. The hard work always pays off, I believe. If you're a host and a producer, you can produce your own segment. So, it all kind of feeds itself. It's all kind of hand to hand. So,
all right, well, thanks, man. We're at the hour. That's great.
I gave you a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I could talk for days if you haven't noticed. Sorry.
I could too. It's called New England disease. And that's all, folks. Many thanks to my guest, Derrial Christon, for a terrific interview. Check them out on Black Hollywood Live and look for them on the red carpet at the Oscars. You can also subscribe to Black Hollywood Live via iTunes by visiting the links for this episode on our website. Our music this week is Annie Tomorrow by Dick Hyman and Oliver Jackson. Follow the affiliate link on this week's episode and buy a copy on iTunes. We're starting to grow our Producers Lounge community, so if you'd like to submit either jazz music or banner photos for an episode, post a link on our Facebook page. You can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Producers Lounge. Remember, you show your support for films by not downloading them. You show your support on Hulu by clicking on the commercials. And you show your support for podcasts by liking and commenting. And you can always check out our website, www.theproducersloungepodcast.com. Thank you again. I'm your host, Richard Tucci. Join us next week for more cocktails and questions. And until then, keep producing dreams.
Tomorrow.